everyone, I'm back to talk to you about clocks and telling time. Today you're going to be working with some times that are on a schedule, looking at starting times and stopping times, or start times and end times. All right, I want to go over some of the questions they're asking you on page 162. They're going to ask you to show the times in the different parts of your school day. So I'm going to kind of do that with you. And you can even get your book out with me, page 162, right now, and do this page with me. So if you want, you can pause my video and go get your Jump Math book, open up to page 162, and we'll kind of go through it together. You have to draw some hour hands on your clock today. All right, so the first time they're going to ask you to draw is the time when recess starts. So at SLA, we start our morning recess at 11 o'clock. So I'm going to use my analog clock here to remind you how to tell time to the O clock, okay, when it has the two zeros. O clock can also be written like this, 11 O clock. So that's your special time that you're working with this week, those O clock times. Now remember, if you want an O clock time, this long hand, which we know is the minute hand now, this long hand here has to be on the 12. If it's not on the 12, it is not an O clock time. So right now I can see that this long hand is on the 12, and that short hour hand is pointing directly at the 10. So that means it's 10 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the clock ahead so that we're at our recess time, 11 o'clock, and we can see what that looks like. So you tell me when this long hand comes back to the 12 and that short hand points right at the 11. That's how you'll know it's 11 o'clock. So you tell me when. So let's see, here I go, I'm moving. Am I back at the 12 yet? Nope, not yet. Is the long hand at the 12 now? Not yet. We're halfway there, but we're not on the 12 yet. Here we go. Am I at the 12 now? Nope, it's not o'clock yet. It's not o'clock yet. Oh, we're almost at o'clock. There we are. The long hand is at the 12. That means it is o'clock. And let's look at the hour hand, the short hand, to see what the hour is. Oh, it's at the 11. 11 o'clock. That's what our recess time looks like. So on your clock, you can go ahead and put the short hand pointing right at the 11 for the time that recess starts. So little hand pointing right at the 11. Now, maybe you noticed when I went around the clock that it's only an o'clock time if the short hand is right on the number. Okay, so we're showing 11 o'clock by pointing that short hand directly on the 11. Now, this time says 11:30, so this is going to be moving a little bit ahead for you. You're not getting to 30 times until a little later in your book, till next week, but because it's in our schedule for school, I'll show you how to do that one. So 11:30, I'll give you a hint. It's o'clock if the long hand is at the 12. It's 30 if the long hand is on the 6. So I'm going to go ahead and put 11:30 on the clock. That's the time that recess finishes, 11:30. So 11:30 on the clock looks like this. Long hand is at the 30-minute mark, which is straight down at the 6. And if you look carefully at my little hand, it's not right on the 11 anymore. Okay, like I said, that only happens on the o'clock times. Now that little hand is in between the 11 and 12. We're halfway to 12 o'clock if we're at 11:30. So when you draw your little hand, I'd like you to draw it halfway between 11 and 12. That is when recess finishes. All right, now let's move on to the next time. Lunch starts. That's at 12:30. So I want to make sure that my little hand has gone to 12. So now it's 12 o'clock. I can see that the long hand is also on the 12. And I'm going to move it around so that the long hand is on the 30 mark, which is here. And now I can see that at 12:30, you're going to draw your shorthand right in between. Oops, I've got a little bit of a mistake here. This is 1 and this is 2. Okay. you're going to draw your little hand right here in between the 12 and the 1, right in the middle of the 12 and the 1. That shows 12:30. All right. Now, lunch finishes at 1 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to 1 o'clock for that time. So that's an o'clock time. So now I'm looking for that long hand to be on the 12. There it is, o'clock. Little hand is on 1. It is now 1 o'clock. And I want to put my little hand right pointing directly at the 1. That's how I want to show 1 o'clock on my clock on my page today. And lastly, they're going to ask you about the time that school finishes, 3:30. So I have to move ahead a little bit. So now the hour is only 1. Now the hour is 2. Okay, here we come. Almost to 3 now. Oh, there's 3 o'clock. Long hand on the 12, 3 o'clock. And now we're going to move to 3:30. I want my long hand on the 6. 3:30. There we go. And we can see that the little hand is right in the middle of 3 and 4. Right in the middle of 3 and 4. Great. All right. So now we've done page 162 together. All your times in your school day on the clock. Now, as you get on to page 163, they're going to ask you to tell how much time has passed. Okay, so let's say that we're watching a movie. And our movie starts at 1 o'clock. So that little hand is right on the 1. If I see a little hand right on a number, I know that it's o'clock. So this is 1 o'clock. And then if the movie stops or ends at 3 o'clock, and the little hand at 3 o'clock, the little hand will be right on the 3. So I can tell if my little hand is right on a number, that's an o'clock time. So it's 3 o'clock. All right. So if I start at 1 o'clock and finish at 3 o'clock, how many hours have gone by? So just to make that a little easier, I'm actually going to put it all on the same clock. Okay, so we're trying to find out how much from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Okay, so they're going to show you with 2 little hands on that clock, and you will need to do your frog jumps around your clock to count how many hours. So here we are, it started at 1, then 2 and 3, that's 2 frog jumps, which means that is 2 hours long. Our movie was 2 hours. So to find out how many hours have passed, just do your little frog jumps from the start time to the end time. Have fun with clocks today.